and Jasay City and around the world. Welcome to another episode of Chicago's ILLectuals Podcast. And today we have Miss Tammy Monk. How are you, young lady?
I am amazing, doing well.
Yeah, you're amazing. That you are. Tell the world a little bit about your background, about your childhood, your upbringing.
Oh, okay, sure. So, born and raised in Chicago. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the what they call South Shore area. All of my life, I went to school at Chicago Vocational High School. Um, let's see, went to college in New Orleans, Louisiana, Xavier University College of Pharmacy. Upbringing, I had a pretty, I think I would describe it as a pretty well-rounded upbringing. I had a mother that was incredibly supportive, incredibly giving, and incredibly smart. I had a father who was equally supportive, giving, smart, very, very wise man. He's no longer with us, but I still miss him every day. So I would describe my childhood as fun. I had a lot of fun growing up. I come from a trauma background. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I do think that where we grew up, everyone was on the same level. So we didn't see a difference. It all felt the same. It wasn't until probably leaving and experiencing life in other scenarios do you look back, but it's too late once you look back. So I think we had a pretty well upbringing, and my mom did what she could when she could, but she was always supportive, always gave a lot of advice. Sometimes I took it, sometimes I did not. However, I do find myself as an adult reflecting back to the things that she said, and everything that she said was actually true. So I had a pretty good upbringing, and it has made me who I am today.
Well, you said a lot there. The South Side of Chicago can be traumatic for a young child. And that's one reason why I do this podcast, Tammy, because, you know, we have young people that's coming up in the neighborhoods that we grew up in. They're coming up behind us, right? And hopefully they can see us and hopefully, gain some hope from that. So are you saying that once you started to get away from Chicago, you started to view things a bit differently?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. So Chicago is a wonderful city. And Chicago does get a lot of bad press for happenings. But I want people to understand and realize that Chicago is a really, really beautiful city. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to grow up. When I left Chicago the first time, where I left to live somewhere else, which was in New Orleans, it wasn't until then that I realized how much Chicago had to offer. I think when we live here, we don't understand and we don't realize, and we take a lot of things for granted. But you have to understand, Chicago is a major metropolitan city.
Yes.
If you can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere. I don't understand when people move and, I'm gonna move here and I'm gonna make it happen. This is the place to make it happen. This is a huge, major metropolitan city. So when I left and I realized everything that Chicago, all the little things, everything that Chicago has to offer, and you compare it to other places that I've been, because I've been to a lot of other major cities, Chicago is up there. I just think you have to put things into perspective. And I know a lot of bad propaganda is pushed around Chicago, because I even have, relatives of mine that don't live here. They watch WGN and they think that, we dodging bullets when we walk out the door. They think everything is just really, really bad. And that's not the case, So I think it's just as bad here as it is anywhere else. But I think that this city gets a lot of bad press by design. But I do think when you leave Chicago. Just ask somebody when they, grinding on Chicago, where else have you ever lived? You will miss a lot of things about this city when you actually have to live someplace else. Chicago has a lot to offer. And if you can't make it happen here, no matter where you go, there you are. So you're not going to be able to make it there either. So homegrown, love this city, love everything it has to offer. Is it always roses? No, but is it? That's not my life. Let me say that. That hasn't been my experience, So, that's when I realized what a phenomenal place Chicago is to actually live. It's a beautiful city. It really is. And I have thought about relocating, but I always say, where would I go? Because I avoid all of what Chicago has to offer. You're not going to get that anywhere else. Not New York, not LA. So, yeah.
I agree with you because I stayed in Atlanta for about 10 years. And I can honestly say 8 of those 10 years I was homesick. I was homesick. People thought I still lived in Chicago. I was here so much.
And I considered moving to Atlanta at one point, and I went to Atlanta for a week just to look at the real estate, and the landscape, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do this. It is too small. When you come from Chicago, people from Chicago have a big personality because the city is so vast. And you put us, it's kind of putting a shark in a fishbowl. I couldn't function in Atlanta. It's too small. And even, I know they think they up and coming and trendy, but it's like, well, compared to Jackson, Mississippi, okay.
Yeah.
But when you back up Chicago and Atlanta, it's no comparison. I mean, you don't have street lights, no sidewalks some places. I don't think anything's wrong with Atlanta, but Atlanta wasn't big enough for me.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't like is that I had to drive everywhere. Chicago, you can walk out of your house and walk to the corner store. That's how we grew up. But
transportation system. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Tammy. What are your values?
What do I value? My values consist of what I am. So I value, and I'm going to try to rank them, but they all kind of rank the same. Integrity. I like people that operate with a high level of integrity. Accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I like people that are able to take accountability because I do. Self-awareness. Mm-hmm. People need to understand and be aware of their shortcomings on both sides so that you understand and know how to deal with people. I would say so, integrity, honesty, self-awareness, those would probably be my top. I hate liars, so it's got to be honesty. I hate people that don't operate with any integrity. Mean what you say what you mean, or don't say it at all. So it would have to be, those would be my top 3. I have a list, but the non-negotiables is about integrity, it's about honesty, and it's about self-awareness.
I like that. My motto is, if you're in front of a judge, what the hell you lying for? We can work it out. You know what I'm saying? I might have to lie to that judge, though. Well, not these days. Not these days. Yeah.
Right. Lie, you ain't got to lie to me. Lie was necessary.
Yeah.
Is it saving your life? Then don't lie.
Yeah. Where would you say you got your mindset from?
Probably my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my mother. My mother, I've always admired, even as a child, I admired my mom. I knew she was very, very smart. And my mother was not only book smart, my mother was real street savvy, right? So my mother had discernment, and, she could read people and tell you about, the friends you were hanging out with. And, as children, we would be like, nah, that's not true. But it always came to fruition. So I would have to say my role model, the person that I am most impressed with, is my mother, because she would give it to you straight, no chaser. And a lot of people probably that know me try to figure out, oh, well, where did she get it from? Because I'm a very direct person.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we were. My mother didn't sugarcoat anything. It was what it was. She said what she meant. She meant what she said. She told you she was going to do something. She did. And she told you you was going to get a spanking. You could count on it. And she didn't play, but there was a balance, right? So it wasn't to the level of it was abusive. My mother was the type of person, don't start anything, won't be anything. If you kick up dust, I'm going to settle it, So it would have to be, and it'll always kind of be my mother, because my mom is someone that I know without a shadow of a doubt has my back. So if she's telling me something, I know it's coming from a good place, and I can take it to the bank. So it would be my mother.
That's great. Big up, moms. Great job. Great job. I knew you came from good stock, but I never really, had the details, right? I knew you came from good stock.
Right.
You can kind of tell, right? Like, you're a pretty girl, but people don't judge you because of your beauty. It's just that, like you said, you're direct, you operate with integrity, and this is from a young age. And you're just cool. You know what I mean? You've always been that way. You've always been that way. So let's talk a little bit about Lady Belvedere. Yeah, I'm proud of my girl. Miss Tammy Monk, getting it in.
I'll hold it for you until you.
I'm proud of her. Wow. So nice, so nice.
She uses like both hair, like spread both hair. I like that.
She's
Sorry.
you guys should, are you here?
Of course.
Yeah, give us the history on Lady Belvedere.
So, around about, I would say maybe like around 2019. So it was around the time of the pandemic, and not a whole lot was going on. Well, for some people, I think we were kind of probably. I keep my circle small and tight, so we were doing things with each other. But so much you can do. So it's got a little slow. I have always been very creative. My friends call me the Black Martha Stewart. So I will reupholster furniture. I've done scrapbooking, so I'm very crafty. I've tried oil painting. I'm the type of person that if I see something or a medium or something, I'm going to educate myself and train and teach myself how to do it by watching videos, by reading blogs, and get into it, right? So around 2019, it got a little boring and slow. And I was at this tobacco place, and I was like, wow. And I like fashion, but I like fashion that makes a statement. I don't like fast fashion. I think fashion can be bought, style cannot. So I like to be stylish. My mother was a very stylish woman. So I used to watch my mom get dressed and be like, wow, you are so beautiful. Like, I really admired my mom. So I have had, I like edgy people. I don't like kind of peak. I like style that's different, that stands out, So I encountered this, they had like all of these cigar boxes, and I was like, oh, these are really cool. Like, I fell in love with the graphic design on some of the boxes. I was like, what are you guys doing with them? They said it was, throwing them away. And I was like, And I like wood. I like natural wood too. And I was like, you throwing them away? I was like, oh, that's tragic. Why would you do that? You know, the ingenuity of making a cigar box, I had no idea. The scope of what they do to make these boxes. So I thought it was kind of tragic that they were just discarding them, a waste. So I was like, I'm gonna see. So like, check this out. Like, who would make a cigar box shaped like this? So I mean, this is pretty, right?
Yes.
So when I see stuff like this, I mean, come on now. Who would shape a cigar box like this? So I thought it was very unique. And so I was like, okay. And then I was like, what could I make with that? Immediately my creative juices start running. I was like, what could I make with that? And then I was like, Then I Googled, what do people make with cigar boxes? There was this guy, he was making guitars. I was like, oh my God. He makes guitars out of cigar boxes. They are so dope. People were making furniture, all types of things. So there's nothing new under the sun, right? So I was like, then I came across, some people were making hand purses with them. And I was like, y'all should take that to the next level. Like, these boxes are so handsome and pretty. I think that I could put a different spin or element on it. So it started out because I do love, and I didn't want to destroy logos and stuff on them. So I would take the box and then I would, like, look at this thing. It's just the cutest thing or what?
This,
So
you have a bunch of cute ones. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You lined it.
Yeah. I put a side in it, and I make them real dope. So I started doing this, to save them from the landfill. Didn't want to disrupt the artistic design of them, and it just kind of evolved, taking it to the next level. Then my creative juices just started to spiral, and I would see things like if I saw a rug or if I saw some curtains in a hotel that I was in, I was like, oh man, that would be a nice purse. If I saw like anything people would waste, I felt like that could be put to use. So I'll show you like this one. Like, why are people like throwing away ties, right? So
oh, wow. That is a cigar box.
It's a cigar box.
It's made from a cigar box. And you turned it into a tie purse.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creative.
So,
yes, that's creative.
I turned off the desire to save things from the landfill and to create, basically, it's wearable art. And it just kind of evolved from there. And then sometimes I would talk to people. Anything would be triggering to me, right? Like, I could look at that picture behind you and I'd be like, oh, that's a dope picture. And something would give me inspiration to create a handbag. So it just kind of evolved. And then I was talking to her. I have a girlfriend who's really creative. She and I vibe real good because she's creative too. We were talking and I was like, I'm going to start. And I was carrying the bag. And everywhere I go, people would say, now I was carrying them because I made it for myself. Where'd you get that bag? Where'd you get that bag? And I was like, oh, I made it. And it was like, what? So the response was favorable. And I was like, oh, but I enjoy doing it. It's a passion for me. I put on the music and I just go, right? So then it just kind of started spiraling. And then me and my girlfriend was like, oh, okay, we got to get a name for it. So one night we were up late. My late night owl girlfriend, maybe probably 3 or 4 in the morning, we chit-chatting, like, let's create a name. We went through all the names, and I was like, okay, it's a cigar box. Belvedere is a type of cigar. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be Lady Belvedere. And that's how Lady Belvedere came. And then it's just been going nonstop since 2019. Like now I have a whole room full of little boxes waiting to become personalities.
I love it. I love it. I was just at an event where you participated in and you were selling your purses. And I noticed that there was a certain style of lady or a certain class of lady that was
Mm-hmm.
in your booth, and I mean, they were consistently there, right? And I'm like, oh,
Right.
this is cold-blooded. I'm so proud,
Uh-huh.
But when
Uh-huh.
I saw them myself, I was amazed. I was like, man, I wish I had somebody to buy one or two of these purses for. Yes. Talk a little bit about the event that I attended.
Sure. So it's the one of a kind Chicago holiday show. And just a little background on the One of a Kind show. I have been a patron of that show for years, a huge fan. This is a show, a Midwestern show. It's been running, I think this is the 23rd year in the Merchandise Mart, downtown Chicago. But this show is for makers. To be in this show, you had to have handmade your things. So this is not like a craft show. If you, I don't know if you had a chance to look around at all of the artists and I have always been impressed with the level of talent of the people at that show, and the fact that because there's no fair trade, like you can't go buy a whole bunch of stuff from China and come sell it at that show.
Right.
It's not flea market. That you have had to have made these things, and it's a jury show, so you can't just get into the show. You can apply. They evaluate your product, evaluate you, your presentation, and say yes or no. So, but this is like the show of shows. So I've always been a patron of the show. Just love incredible talent at that show. Oh my God, I love that show. I have always loved it, right? So last year I was like, oh, I think I'm apply to be in this show. And I've always had confidence in what I do. I like it, right? So if you do something that you have a passion for and you like it, keep doing it, right? And I'm not the type of individual where, like, if you tell me something that resonates with me, then I'm going to take your advice. If I don't have a lot of respect for you, or I see you don't really have a whole lot of creativity, you really can't give me no advice. So at that show, I met a couple of people, and we were kind of talking about the process and how to get in it. This is when I was a patron. So when I applied, I was like, if I get into this show, they ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing.
And you got in. Hey,
No.
amazing show. I get off of the elevator and there are swarms and swarms of people everywhere. And me being the person that I am, I'm always looking at race demographics, right? I'm always looking at demographics. It's just something that I've always done, right? And
Right.
and you were one of the few Black business owners there, right? And that made me so proud, so proud.
Well,
But because other classes of people don't necessarily spend their money with us a lot, right? And I saw some people outside of our culture that were, serious about what you had over there.
I like that. She's sorry. You guys should. Are you here?
I met so many amazing connections at that show, and I'm gonna tell you something about that show. It's always been a great. No doubt, this is a extremely, in my opinion, well curated show. I don't think that you don't see Black people represented there because so many people don't even know about the show. And let me just kind of step back. I think the reason is just kind of in Black culture, the art has not been cultivated. Because there's a guy there, it's a Black guy, he carves wood, phenomenal, right? So there are a few of us there. But you have to also look at how many of us actually apply to the show. And it's not a cheap show to get into, right? How many of us have the means to get into it? So I think it's more of a reflection of, hey, we have to start as a culture incorporating the arts into our culture so that we have an appreciation for the art, right? So, and a lot of times, when I go to other shows that are like that, that's always the case. That's not just at that show, and then people really don't know about it. But when you're in the art culture, then you know about all of those type of shows, right? So it was an introduction. It was good for me because I wanted to see what would be the feedback outside of my circle, right? So, I have friends that support me, family that support me. And support isn't necessarily purchasing the bag, right? Support could just be, hey, I like this one, you could do this one, or sharing it, or telling somebody about it, because they're pretty fly bags, right? And so finding your audience, it was important for me to go to that show because I wanted to try to see who is my target audience for those handbags, right? But I find that non-Black individuals, not just white people, like, they have an appreciation for the arts. And so when I start to think like, well, even as patrons, if you looked around that show, it wasn't a lot of us as patrons at that show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
A lot of us don't know about it. So we have to do, I think, a better job at making sure we are incorporating the arts into our lives, because that's what actually kind of feeds and fulfills your soul, right? We all have gifts, we all have passions, and to appreciate something. So I could look at a painting on the wall and, and people, and those people, some of those paintings like $4,500. But somebody who don't have an appreciation for the artist will be like, well, $4,500.
Right.
But I think it's because I'm an artist, it speaks to me. So I don't think $4,500 for that is a lot of money. I mean, if you look at, Kevin Walk that came out of CBS, that does those phenomenal paintings, right? How many of us really, really get into the arts? And I think that's what, if you're not into the arts, you're not going to understand that show, because this is people, they make jewelry. And I think we all have those talents, but I think we have to stop being so programmed to be on a hamster wheel and gravitating toward things that are mass produced, and allow ourselves to be creative, just like what you're doing, right? And we have to shut out the naysayers that say, oh, well, why are you doing a podcast? Everybody has a podcast, okay? You know how many people is in this world? Yeah. My business and my handbags are global. Yeah. They're for everybody because it's a vibe. So it's going to be people that kind of like in my tribe, and that could be anybody. And so that's what you saw. Now, everybody, the response was really, really good. That how because people have an appreciation for the art, they're different, right? They're statement handbags. When you go out, I think, like I said, fashion can be bought, style can't. An outfit is nothing without the accessories.
I'm telling
you. You take a person and she can have on one dress and another person can have on the same dress. The person that is accessorized, so I tell people all the time, when you look at an ad and you say, oh, that dress looks good, optically, what you're seeing is the whole package. You think you're focused on that dress, but if people spend a lot of money, marketing is the largest budget.
Yes.
People spend a lot of money putting the earrings on, putting the necklace on, the bracelet, the rings, the handbag. They selling the dress. Mm-hmm. But in order to sell dress, you got to dress the dress up, right? So my bags are for women that bold, beautiful, badass, and confident. Because I'm telling you, they loved the bags. And the fact that I loved that show, I've always loved that show, but I think that we have to do a better job in exposing ourselves, not just children, because there's a lot of adults that don't have any exposure.
Yeah, I agree.
Exposing ourselves to the art. So when you walk and get up on the 7th floor at the Merchandise Mart, it's like everybody that had never been that I invited was like, oh my God, it was over 500 vendors there. It's a huge show, but it is a well-curated show. And you're going to get one-of-a-kind pieces. Mm-hmm. What can you say that you have in your life that nobody else has? Not a whole lot, So some people like to have things that nobody else has, that nobody else, that they're gonna see. Like I know a couple of women, we were talking and they was like, oh, these would be nice to go to the Kentucky Derby. You know how women get dressed up to go to the Kentucky Derby. So it's just the sky's the limit, and people just have to allow themselves to be creative, and be open-minded when you see somebody creating works of art.
You know, you said your friends call you the Black Martha Stewart. I would argue that Martha Stewart might be the white Tammy Monk. You know, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, there are many people that believe that they have style, but my thing is always, how original is it? How does it speak to your personality, right?
Right.
Or are you following trends? And
Right.
that's what stands out about Lady Belvedere to me. You've definitely taken the purse game to another level. You know, I was so happy and so proud to see the response that you were getting, right, from all demographics of people, right?
It was nice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. And I was so excited to see you. Like, you know, my family came out and I saw you like, oh,
yeah,
yeah, it was nice to see familiar faces in the place supporting. That's always good. You know, I didn't know what to expect. A 4-day show, 10 to 7. It was, you know, it was long. I met some incredible people like my booth mates. But I had a really good time, and it was really good to see, you know, the familiar faces in the places. My friends and family came out and they supported as well. But to your point, you know, people would look over there and point, and then they would, did you see this? And then they would call their girlfriend, oh, come to booth E36, you
yeah,
got to see these bags. They're conversation pieces. And I like doing them. I'm a little sad when they leave because sometimes that's the only one I have, and because I have so much fun putting them together. But I like that they make people smile and they make you feel good. You know, so when you pick up this bag, you're gonna feel good about yourself. You know, you're gonna get a lot of attention, you're gonna get a lot of compliments, and you're gonna be able to say, this is the only one. You know what I'm saying? So it was it was a lot of fun. It was a long day, but it was a lot of fun. And I just highly recommend, just for those that are, whoever's listening, or if you have a passion for something, or, you know, you have a creative streak, follow that. You know, stifle the voices in your head that's saying that, oh, it's been done before, oh, this isn't going to work, because that's just the devil, right? When you have vision to do something, it's put in your spirit for a reason.
yeah.
You know, pull on that thread and do it, you know. So, because I would do this no matter what, you know, because I really, really enjoy doing it. But now it's just kind of, it's everything I see, I'm like, oh, I like the pattern of those roof towels. I'm going to do a purse like that. Just everything I see now becomes a potential handbag. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And again, you know, I really appreciate you coming out, supporting. That was fun to see you slide through there doing your finals.
Ain't no question. Listen, and there are not many people that I would have probably supported in that way, but you're just so passionate.
That, you know, stifle the voices in your head that's saying that, oh, it's been done before, oh, this isn't going to work, because that's just the devil, right? When you have vision to do something, it's put in your spirit for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, pull on that thread and do it, you know. So, because I would do this no matter what, you know, because I really, really enjoy doing it. But now it's just kind of, it's everything I see, I'm like, oh, I like the pattern of those roof towels. I'm going to do a purse like that. Just everything I see now becomes a potential handbag. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And again, you know, I really appreciate you coming out, supporting. That was fun to see you slide through there doing your finals.
Ain't no question. Listen, and there are not many people that I would have probably supported in that way, but you're just so passionate. And I really like the fact that when you first began, you were your own promotion, right? I love that. And I especially enjoy hearing you use the phrase, this is wearable art. You see? You know, that's something different, and you're not duplicating these pieces, right? So somebody has something that's uniquely theirs, right?
Right.
which is cold-blooded.
Right.
You should be very proud of yourself. And I know you are, but you should be very proud of yourself. Tammy, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
How did you become a pharmacist in your professional career? Because this is your entrepreneurial career that we were talking about, but in your professional career, when we were like teenagers, I knew that you were brilliant, and I knew that you were very different, right? You were always yourself, as far as I could see, right? But when I heard you were a pharmacist, I was like, this girl is smart. She must have went to school somewhere. What was that process like?
I'm going to tell you, my mother was always about education. She was like, if you don't get a good education, you're going to end up living in a van down by the river. Trust me. So,
a van down by the river.
so
yes.
she actually planted the seed of pharmacy. I didn't know really anything about it. When I was young, we had a male, because back in the day, men were pharmacists. There wasn't a lot of women. That was a male field.
These are facts. These are facts.
Yeah. So she had a pharmacist friend. I can't remember where he worked, but we used to go there often, like on Saturday or something. And she would say, talk to him about what he does. And I was like, oh, well, what do you do, right? So that was my introduction to the field of pharmacy. I didn't know anything about it. And so my mother would plant the seed and she watered it. Always would say, okay, you can have a passion, but you also need to be able to pay your bills, Tammy.
Yeah.
Right? So I started thinking about the medical field. I have a lot of affinity to, like, the geriatric age bracket, and healthcare, right? So I was like, okay, I'll go into the healthcare field. I know there were things that I just didn't want to do. I didn't want to be too touchy with the patients and stuff like that. And so I said, okay, because she drove pharmacy. Like, this is what you're gonna do. I wish I could tell the story that, I've always wanted to be a pharmacy. That would be a total lie. My mother totally programmed that career into my head. And so when I got out of high school, when I thought, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I was kind of dilly-dallying, and she was just like, and I just got a regular job, and then she was like, and it was a struggle, and she was like, do you want to struggle for the rest of your life? She was like, you better get you something that could sustain the life that you want to live, right? And so then I just got serious, and I left Chicago, and I went away because it was just too many distractions in Chicago. And I just did it. And I enjoyed it because pharmacy is finite, right? It is what it is. This does this, that does this. This is how the body works, so, and I enjoyed it, because it kind of helps you. It's always evolving. I mean, the anatomical system, it is what it is. The way the body works is the way the body works, right? So, it's the learning all of the medications and stuff like that. It was challenging. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't find it. What I found is that probably had I been a lot more serious earlier, I probably could have had an easier time. But, I kind of think my path and my destiny, it is what it is. I don't have any regrets for kind of, when I decided to do this or that. But my mom was very, very instrumental, basically guiding me in that. Because she said, get you a career so you can make a living so that you can do what you really like to do, right? That way, you can thrive and kind of follow your dreams and your passions because you got your bills paid, right? It's hard to do that when you don't have a solid foundation and you don't have, something that your bills are going to be paid. How could you sit down and relax and be creative? Because in order to be creative, you have to have a free mind. So my mom was very instrumental in me going down the pharmacy path. And I've done everything. Like I've worked in a hospital, I've done clinical, I've done retail, I've done all of that stuff. And I enjoyed it, right? Because I like educating people about, you know, why what's going on with you is going on with you. It's challenging because you try to put up all these flags for people and people don't listen. And so you have to come to terms with that. People are going to do what they want to do. You can only bring the horse to the water. It's so true. You can't make them drink. And I still care. I still have a lot of passion for my career. I just do it a lot differently because when people don't take heed to the message, sometimes it kind of wears you down. So you have to just decide to just kind of, you know, like step back, let people hopefully come to the realization is that what I'm telling you is going to help you and help you live a healthier, longer life. Now, whether you want to do that or not, that's up to you. So my mother, to answer your question, that career was put upon me.
Beautiful. It's beautiful though. I think you're the perfect person to ask this question because I've always kind of, well, probably for the last 20 years, I've thought about this on and off. And the question is simply this: should every physician have a pharmacist as their best friend? I don't know, but I'm asking you because you're in the field. I don't know that doctors study medicine as opposed to certain areas of whatever their practice is in, right? But pharmacists actually study medicine. Help me out with that one.
Well, let me just kind of be PC. I don't know. So you're talking about a pharmacist that has studied medication for 6 years, versus a physician that has studied medicine, probably medications, a semester. Definitely, the level of knowledge about all medications is with the pharmacist. Pharmacists and physicians do work together. And a lot of people think pharmacists, you know, and most people think that pharmacists, they just think Walgreens or CVS. Pharmacists it's such a diversified field. There are so many more avenues to go down as a pharmacist, because I don't work in retail, than retail pharmacy. So that's people's picture, because that's what they see. But the pharmacist's job, like people, I remember I used to work in Walgreens and people are like, oh, what's taking so long? All you got to do is just, why does it take so long? Pills in the bottle. And that's when you realize people don't understand. Pharmacists are getting paid to think. This is not Skittles and M&M's. You can get two things that could take you out of here. So they're not back there, you know, just not thinking. They're getting, you don't see them thinking, but that's what they're back there to do, to make sure that what you got, what the physician wrote for you, and kind of based on your other profile, you know, there isn't any harm done to you per se, right? Or sometimes a lot of them, they don't really get a chance to practice to the height of their license, you know, because they always so busy, and you got these people coming back, where's the big roll, you know, asking you stuff like, where's stuff in the store, you know, but that's okay because people really don't understand. So physicians and pharmacists do work together. Just particularly like when you're in a hospital and you're a pharmacist, you're on a rounding team. And so you're rounding with the physicians and the residents, and you all are going bed to bed, and they do ask you. So physicians do respect the feedback from the pharmacist. I will say that. So they work together. You may not see them work together, but there are many collaborative relationships, now not side by side, right? So the physician will write a prescription or something like that. If you're in a hospital, it'll come down, and the pharmacist is like, oh, okay, this dose is too high. They send it back up. And the physician trusts you. They're like, okay, just change it to what it's supposed to be. So it does go on. You just don't see it.
Okay.
You just don't.
That's very educational, because I've been worried for 20 years. No, that's very educational, and I appreciate you providing that bit of information to our audience.
There is. I mean, and there's a lot of software now that is supposed to be designed. I think they rely too much on it to catch stuff like that. But people don't realize. I mean, you have a lot of pharmacists that work for big pharma. And they go around and they have physicians that they work with to just kind of educate them on big pharma, of course, it's a profit company, so they're selling the drugs, but kind of educate them on the things that are coming out, and this is how you use it, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of correlation going on. I just kind of think that a lot of people, you're never going to see it, but it's happening, but people need to understand that, pharmacists know more about medications than any other medical professional because we had to learn everything.
Yeah.
If you have and then there are pharmacists that specialize, right? You can be an oncologist pharmacist, so you could just kind of be focused on chemo and cancer medication therapy. You could just be a radiation pharmacist. It's just all types of things. There's so many things you can get into. That's why I like the field because it's so varied. It's kind of oversaturated now. I do like the fact that it kind of flipped. It used to be all men. Now it's a whole lot of women. But I still think it's a good field to go into. But I just think that people need to understand that there are many, many more opportunities. A lot of times I talk to people, and I always used to suggest to people, well, just go to pharmacy school. If you can get in and if you can pass, do that. But it's not easy, right? But you got to be willing to work hard. Like, I don't think I slept maybe like for 4 years, but that was all of us. We was all up grinding all night, every night. Because it's a lot to take in, and they throw it at you all at one time. And the way it works is you have to go with your cohort. If you fail one class in that cohort, you got to go back a whole nother year. So you got to keep up. And so you kind of form these networks and these groups, and y'all study together, y'all stay up all night. But I think it's a great field for people to go into. And I was telling people, I was like, even if you're not interested in it, it is a great way to make a living. And you could do so many other things because there are a lot of pharmacists that don't work in pharmacy at all. They're not touching pills. But the way they train you to critically think about things, that's what corporations are interested in. How you think, how you process. So it's more than just like I tell my kid, he's in school for finance. I said, when you sit in those classes, what I want you to do when you're learning is think about how can I apply that on an entrepreneurial avenue. You're not really in college to come out and work for someone else. You need the knowledge, so get it, but how could I be a consultant doing that? I said, so everything that they teach you, try to think of an entrepreneur angle for it. That's what the goal is. You need those skills that they're teaching you, right? I didn't really take any business courses, so he helps me a lot. Because that's just not my thing. But I tell, any young person, if you're going to go to school, you need to have a plan. And it doesn't have to be about that degree. You need to be trying to focus on, because how could I be an entrepreneur doing XYZ? If you're going to school for communications, the goal should not be to be on NBC or something like that. How do I get a platform like yourself and then grow my platform and then get advertisers and blow up? Everything could have an entrepreneur angle. You just have to change your mindset to think like that, because that's the only way. I think life is for living, right? I work so that I can live. I don't live to work. And I do things so that I can enjoy other things in my life.
Yeah, I like that. You said a lot. I especially like the fact that you acknowledged that the pharmacology, the chemical composition of two different prescriptions could cause harm, right? And
right.
In many ways, the pharmacist is an interventionist. They make sure that you don't get that harm that could be caused, right? So that's very important. And I totally, the statement that you made about being in a cohort.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a cohort right now, and yeah, and it's something kind of different because I'm the only American. There are four of us,
Uh-huh.
right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there are four of us, and one is from India, one is from Mexico, and another is from Colombia.
Uh-huh.
And I'm the only one who's from America, right? And of course, the school is in Chicago, so I'm homegrown. But I will say that with all that's pushed on you in rapid succession, right? That cohort becomes very valuable. It becomes very valuable, and uh, I'm good at some things that they're not familiar with. A few of
Yeah.
them were good at some things that I wasn't familiar with, like statistics. And so it just kind of works out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But you're gonna be able to leverage that experience, because I gotta tell my kids, I said, your goal as you grow into the man you're going to become is to remove yourself from things that are familiar to you, your circle. You cannot elevate.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was strategic and purposeful that they put all of those different perspectives, because different worldly perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that, because then you get to see, that's how you elevate, right? You guys are kind of feeding off each other and bringing different perspectives, and you're going to approach things differently, because the world is global. It's not local, right? And so people that have different perspectives, I find they like different fires, right? Yeah. You like fires, you giving them a perspective of basically the American thought process, because everything is kind of very, very different. So I think that's awesome. I would love to just kind of be in a cohort where we will all do. I like to be in a situation where I'm unfamiliar. I like to be uncomfortable, because when I'm uncomfortable, that's when I'm at my sharpest. Mm-hmm. That's when I'm growing. That's when I'm learning, because you can learn something from anybody. That's my philosophy. So I like to be put in uncomfortable positions, challenging positions, because when you're comfortable, you're not going to grow. And like my father used to always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's right. Absolutely right. I love it. I love it. So as far as Lady Belvedere, you're an entrepreneur. Have you studied other entrepreneurs? Like, were there people that you kind of took bits and pieces, kernels and nuggets from in order to cultivate Lady Belvedere?
I don't know if you've ever heard of this designer. Her name is Betsy Johnson. You look up Betsy Johnson when this call is over. Okay. That woman is my inspiration. And she's my inspiration for a couple of reasons. Because she marches to her own drumbeat. Some people might see Betsy Johnson and say, oh, she's weird, she's strange, but all of her designs are just kind of like off the grid, and you can tell that she marches to her own drumbeat. So I think the way she operates has always resonated. A lot of people, I guess it's my personality. I'm not a conformist, right? So I like people that's got kind of like a renegade edge to them, and they're gonna think outside the box. Not only gonna think outside the box, they're gonna step outside the box. And so you can just kind of tell people that are pretty much conformists, and I don't think that anything's wrong with that. You need those kind of people, because we all kind of help make the world go around, right? But I know I wasn't born to be that. That's never been my personality. It never will. So when I came across Betsy Johnson, I was like, her stuff is so out there, I'm like, I love it. I love it. You know, that's my tribe. So Betsy Johnson, to me, as a designer, has always inspired me and built my confidence. Do what you like, right? If you like, that's what speaks to you, do it. Is everybody going to like it? No. Is it for everybody? No. Do I care? No. You know, because when you create for yourself, that's what gives you the satisfaction. Like, I could be in here one night, God, and I look up, the sun is up. And I done kicked out about 5, because when I get in my zone, I just get in my zone. I cut on my music, and I'm just going, and I just let my creative juices grow. So Betsy Johnson is very, very inspirational to me. And, you know, people that exude confidence inspire me. You know what I'm saying? Because when people are confident about what they're doing, that's what makes it happen. And that's only about 1% of the people. Yeah. So you can't really have a laundry list, right, of people that you kind of, not that I aspire to be her, but I'm just encouraged by her freedom of creativity. And anytime I see an artist, no matter what they're doing, if it's a painting or, you know, if it's a sculpture, when it's kind of out of the box, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's my tribe.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I love that, because that's exactly how I am. And the funny thing about that is that when you march to the beat of your own drum, or you take the road less traveled, society at large views that as radical, right? Yeah. It's not really radical. It's not really radical. It's just you being you. It's you operating in your own creativity, and they don't like that because they're not going to be able to capitalize off of you.
Right. Right.
You know? So, yeah, you said a lot, and I really loved. I learned so much about you today, Tammy. I appreciate it.
Tell us all the time. He said, if you're following the crowd, you're probably going the wrong way. And that has stuck with me and resonated with me. So anytime I see everybody doing this, it's a knee-jerk reaction. I'm not going to do it. You know, because he said most people are uninformed. Most are conformist. He said, and most people are lazy. He said, so that's easy to follow the crowd. Why would you want to do that? He said, 9 times out of 10, if you follow the crowd, you're going the wrong way. He said, so if you were gambling, and if I told you, when you play on this crap table, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose, are you going to do it? No. So why would you always follow? Never group think, he always said. Never group think. Whatever the group is thinking, he said, because if we all think alike, somebody not thinking.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Tammy, I don't know if you knew, but I've dealt with young people in my professional career for about 20 years. About 20. As a matter of fact, I had a black tie affair back in 2008, and a lot of people that we went to high school with supported that. It was due to my youth program and everything. And I would always say to them that you're thinking in groups, but you're thinking in a group of 13-year-olds, right? All of you only have 13 years worth of experience. That's like Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles trying to help one another across the street. It's bound to be an accident, right? So, your dad was absolutely right. Absolutely right. And, you know, fortunately for me, I used to say unfortunately, I took the non-traditional route, and a lot like your mom, you know, I have a healthy balance of, you know, I come from the streets, and then I kind of changed things around, and I was able to do some other things, and I kind of learned to appreciate that. You know, I had one of my friends who called me from Atlanta. He said, you stop talking about the streets because you ain't been in the streets in 30 years. You know, you can stop talking about you've been a productive member of society for a minute. Yeah. So pivoting a little bit here. What are your perspectives on the pandemic?
The scamdemic.
Okay. There are a lot of my mentors seem to think so as well. Expound a bit.
Here's what I think. The red flag for me was, I know how long it takes to bring a drug or a vaccine to market.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't wrap my thoughts around how could you produce that fast when it could take 10 to 15 years to bring a drug to market. And I know they were talking about Operation Warp Speed, and I was like, it doesn't work like that because you have to have post-marketing surveillance, you know, and it has to be a cohort of people, and they have to be watched over a period of time. So I just could not wrap my thoughts around how could you have something that fast? It's not possible because, okay, even if you were able to develop it really, really quickly, the post-marketing surveillance has to go to years. When they bring a drug to market, that drug has been studied for years. And then like people will say, oh, they bring this drug to market. Why is it so expensive? Because the research and development to get it to market, a lot of money. So that company needs to be able to recoup all of that money that they invested to bring it to market. And then they have the studies, and then, you know, and then where's the placebo group? Like, it just didn't follow scientific protocol that I was taught. Mm-hmm. So it made me a bit skeptical. And then, I don't know, my parents always taught me nothing in life is free, and it was free. So, and I was like, I don't know about this.
That's on a common sense level, right? Yeah, I think what I hear you saying is that there wasn't a high level of clinical trials associated with this.
There wasn't any. Well, and you know, when it first came out, I started going and there were some like reading some like some peer-reviewed journals about like these little short studies, and you have to realize when people put out results of a study, you got to critique the study too, because the devil is in the details, right? So because I know what to look for, I don't expect the layperson to know what to look for, but it just raised a lot of suspicion for me because I know how it goes. So I wasn't able to, you know, and I understand people were in a panic and afraid and blah, blah, blah. And I would tell you something, before it even kind of was public and it really came out, I had it and I didn't know what it was. Like, it was months, and I had this cough that would not go away, and I'm telling you, it lasted for a month, and I was like, what is wrong with me? But what I found odd is that why aren't they telling people how to build things? Because it's a virus, right? So your immune system, people have to understand, God made us, right? The immune system, the body, is a well-oiled machine. Trust and believe. It don't need no help. If you do what you're supposed to do, if you eat right, if you exercise, if you put the right things into your body, it will take care of you. It doesn't need any help. Why we have all this help is because what we're putting in our bodies. You know what I'm saying? And so you have like the pollution in the air and things like that. So there are a lot of external factors that your body has to contend with. But if you build your immune system up like Iron Man, yes, you're going to succumb to something, but you're going to be able to fight it off. And so what I thought was odd was nobody was talking about telling people how to build their immune system up, what to do. You know, like I'm saying, like you can't be sleep deprived, because you have to understand it takes energy to do everything, to talk, to breathe, to blink, to move our fingers. All of that is expending energy. So if you're tired, right, like you're sleep deprived, and then you get a virus, you know, your body is like, dude, I'm trying to breathe, I'm trying to eat, I'm trying to move my fingers, I'm trying to walk, I'm trying to talk. I'm going to take care of that first. And so your immune system is not able to really kind of fight. So all of that stuff, your body, I'm telling you, is a well-oiled machine. What you put into your body and what you do to your body has an impact to what your body is going to be able to do for you. So that's why they were saying the most unhealthy. And yeah, that made sense to me, right? You know, because if you like 60 pounds overweight, the heart is still the same size, yes. You know, and it's got to work through all of that adipose tissue and stuff like that. So I just kind of feel like that there were things, for whatever reason, that just didn't make sense to me. And so when I didn't know I had it, but I did, you know, but when it came out, I was like, oh, that's what was wrong with me. But I immediately started doing things to build my immune system up, right? You know, I'm exercising, I'm walking every single morning. I'm drinking my green tea every single morning. You got to detoxify your body. I'm not eating, you know, junk and eating 3 or 4 times a day and snacking, things like that. So even just like the common cold doesn't mean you're not going to get it, but you just want your body to be equipped to fight it off. And if you're doing all these things, drinking and smoking and staying up and just all the other things that, you know, we do in society, that has an impact, you know, but we have become a society where we don't want to fix anything. We just want a pill, you know? So people say, oh, I have high blood pressure. And they'll say, well, it's controlled now. No, it's not. If you stop taking that pill, you watch your blood pressure go up. It is not controlled because you're on that medication. If you really, really want to control that, then you need to stop doing things that are perpetuating those ailments. And people don't want to do that. So what we do as a society is we just kind of keep taking medicines, and the next thing you know, yeah, your blood pressure is good, but now your liver is shot, now your kidney is shot, because everything has a side effect.
Yes.
Because you're putting foreign things into your body. God made us perfect. It's a well-oiled machine. It'll work, but if you work it, it's not gonna work.
Such a wealth of information.
I read, there's an author called Valerie Wilson Wesley. I love her books. They're like kind of like these little mysteries. I like her books a lot. I'll read that. But I'm gonna be honest, I had to read so much for 6 years. I gotta have the cliff notes at this point.
Yeah, I already knew where that was going.
Look, don't send me no long text message.
Right. Yeah.
Brevity is key. So I'm not a reader. You know, I don't sit. If I tried to sit down, one time I caught myself like, I'm gonna read this book, and I fall asleep. I have to read things that's teaching me things, like to just kind of drift out. Now, if it's not Valerie Wilson Wesley, I'm not going to read it. You know, like if I'm being educated, I'll read stuff like that. But I'm tapped out on the reading. I'm good. I'm not.
They had enough in school. I got you. I feel you. Let me ask you this. What type of music does Tammy Monk listen to? You're not about to tell me you don't listen to music, because I know you do.
R&B all the time.
R&B.
R&B, old school R&B. I don't even think what's out now you can consider music. But I listen to old school R&B predominantly. If you in my car, I hope you like it. If you come to my house, I hope you like it. But I listen to music that feeds my soul, and music that I grew up on, or music that I heard, because Saturday mornings around our house was music on, everybody cleaning up. So that's how I kind of grew up, and so that's what I listen to. Now every now and then, I might listen to something different, but predominantly, you're not gonna catch me playing house music in my house. That's a little too much racket for me. It's gonna be, I might play a little rap, but predominantly it's gonna be R&B. But it's gonna be like 50 Cent. It'll be Tupac. It'll be like the music today. I'm just like, I can't. It doesn't feed my soul. So I listen to things that feed my soul. I'll be over here jamming, trust and believe.
now, our little inside joke. Our aunties and uncles like that house music. They're gonna be mad at us.
But I realized that it was an epiphany. I was like, oh, I'm actually not a house head. I thought I was, but I'm not. I'm not. Like a couple other songs, but like just kind of. I like to chill out. I love live music, so I go and listen to live music a lot, right? So I love the art of instruments and to hear them play their live music. So I don't like a whole lot of racket for a long period of time. That's when I discovered I'm not really a house head. I'm not. I'll listen to it, but I'm not going to listen to it for hours on end. I'm not going to do that.
I have a few artists that I think that you would like. I'm going to send you a few recommendations. I'm going to send you a few recommendations because I have some artists that I'm pretty sure you would like, especially when you're in your creative space, right? So I'm going to send you some things. I'll send you some things offline. Listen, Tammy, you are a person who's brilliant, you're bold, you're confident, and you're someone who, in my opinion, that the world should be proud of and the world should know, right? Can you share?
Lady Belvedere, BBB.com. That's my website. I'm predominantly on Instagram, is Lady Belvedere BBB. So I am working on some phenomenal new designs. I got a huge bucket of bullet casings. So I'm gonna be doing some.
I don't have any questions.
I'll be working on a Guns N' Roses collection, but no, yeah, check me out. Follow me on Instagram. If you're looking for a statement handbag, I make them all. I wouldn't say often, but I'm always making and creating something new. But the best thing to do is, and what I've been looking for, I need like a social media manager. Because right now I have to do everything, right? So I don't get to some of the bags don't even make it to social media to be promoted because people buy them. So I was looking for a social media manager to just kind of take on that kind of stuff, but it has to be the type of person, they have to be in my tribe, right? So they have to get it, get the vision, kind of feel the bags, because I'm looking for someone that is into it as a passion, just like me, So, but follow me on Instagram, join my website. That's how you get a notification of when I have created a new style. So it's best, like if I create a new bag or a new line, I'll push it out to the people that have subscribed to my website so that they can see it and get first dibs on it first. Because like I said, truly, if you go on a website, a lot of stuff is sold out. It doesn't even make it. It doesn't even make it because they're so freaking cute and they such a vibe.
There it is. Such a vibe, right? So for our final segment.
Okay.
I know you don't smoke. I don't smoke either. But the name of this segment is called Bring Some Weed. I got a story to tell, and I don't even smoke. And in this segment, I always afford our guests to tell a story of their choice, no matter what it is, right? It can be inspiring. It could be like a watershed moment. It could be a story of your choice. So now is your time.
Okay. I'm not going to tell a story. I'm going to use this opportunity to give some words of encouragement to those that have a passion that they are not following. I'm going to say follow your passion. For those that may think that they don't have any creativity within themselves, you do. God has given it to all of us. To those that have too many naysayers around them that are preventing them from following their dreams and their passions, I'm going to say you're gonna have to leave some people. You have to let a lot of people go. In your journey. I'm going to say if you're the smartest person in the room, get out of the room. Surround yourself with like-minded, positive individuals. I cannot emphasize that enough. People that are going to genuinely encourage you to keep going when you feel like giving up. It's not easy. This grind is not for everybody. Understand that it's going to take hard work. It's going to take perseverance, but keep doing it. If you have something in you, that's not happenstance. That's what you're supposed to be doing. But also be smart about it, right? Find you something that you can do until you can do your passion full time, so that you're able to be able to relax and kind of enjoy your passion. That's just kind of what I would say. I would just encourage people, don't put yourself into a box either. That's another thing I think that happens way too often. You have to be able to understand that we're all put on this earth. And the world is big, right? So don't worry about what somebody else is doing, because your competition is you. Learn how to be your own competition. That's tough because it's easy to beat somebody else. But when you battling yourself, that's a real battle. But don't put yourself in a box. Don't be a woman-owned business. Just be a business. Don't be a Black-owned business. Just be a business. Because why is it that I don't see any sign on the door saying male-owned business? Why do I have to say I'm a woman-owned business? Why I just can't be a business? I don't see any signs that say Chinese-owned business. So why do you know what I'm saying? You have to reject societal norms, because it usually is going to pigeonhole you into a set. You want everybody to enjoy what you have to offer. It's obvious we Black. I don't have to wear a mantra that says I'm Black. You know what I'm saying? And I just kind of want people to just kind of think broader, than your identity, and keep it about what you're doing, because that's what's important. You're not going to get any more money because you are a woman-owned business. If somebody likes your product, they're going to support you because they like your product. I never bought anything because something was woman-owned. Because I'm not going to do that. If I like it, I'm going to buy it. I don't care if an alien owns it. I'm going to buy it. So I think that, that's when you're passionate about what you're doing. All that other stuff is just noise, designed to distract you and to pigeonhole you and to keep you into this lane and to keep you into that lane. I reject all of those terms. Things understood need not be said. It's obvious I'm a woman. Okay? It's obviously I'm a Black woman. Okay? I make handbags for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be conscious of that, because all of that stuff is just noise and it's going to create distractions. You have a podcast. You got a podcast. Period. End of story. This is what I do, and a very good one, right? And it's going to grow and it's going to evolve, Now you have a purpose. I'm not saying you don't have a purpose or you have a bias. I think that's fair to have a purpose and a bias. But I think for that to be your mission, or not you per se, but somebody's mission, I just want to encourage people, be you, whoever that is, be you. Be bold about it, be unapologetic about it, be confident, stand on it, and people gravitate to that. You know what I'm saying? Don't be wavering about it. If you got an idea, forge with it. I don't care if 20 million people are doing it. There are billions of people on this earth. It's enough people and enough money for all of us. You know, so that's what I would leave with. Just kind of encourage people to follow their dreams, do what they're passionate about, because that's why we were put on this earth. We were not put on this earth to just be working. That's not why we're here. We're here to inspire people. And you never know, like you have this podcast. You know, people are going to find this. I hope people find this message inspirational, because that's the intent, you know. But I don't want to get people to get deceived that, hell, it's not always roses for me, you know, every day. But it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get back up. Expect to fall. So when you are realistic and you have an expectation to fall, then okay, I'm just going to get back up when I fall. Does everything go right all the time? Nope. Is it going to go right all the time? Nope. But guess what? I learned something in everything that happens, my whole journey. That's it.
Well said. Well said. Never run from the challenges. Embrace the challenges. That's where your growth lies.
Yeah.
For Tammy Monk, I am the Kid Ryan Allen. This has been another great episode of Chicago's ILLectuals Podcast. Like, subscribe, and share. Tammy, thank you so much. Peace, peace, peace.
Thank you. Take care.